Welcome to this explainer. Today, we're diving into a dilemma that is honestly unexpectedly fascinating. We're talking about what on earth you are supposed to do when sacred objects break, or just, wear out over time. It's something that touches everyday life for literally millions of people, yet it's surrounded by a surprising amount of confusion. So we're going to clear up exactly how to treat blessed religious objects with the reverence they deserve, completely fear-free.
To kick things off, picture this. It's a highly relatable situation. Imagine you're holding a broken rosary, a badly damaged crucifix, or maybe a super worn-out blessed palm branch from last year. It's definitely reached the end of its useful life. And suddenly, you're caught in this weird, uncomfortable middle ground. You're standing over the trash can, feeling like tossing it in is just terribly wrong and disrespectful, but you also have no clue what the right alternative actually is. If you've been there, trust me, you are certainly not alone.
That tension? It usually leads to a whole lot of anxiety and, frankly, a bit of superstition. Well-meaning people start to panic. They think that maybe tossing a damaged, blessed object will somehow bring them bad luck. Or they operate under the assumption, well, actually, it's more like a fear, that they must follow these extreme disposal rituals, like believing that every single blessed item, no matter what it is, has to be buried in the yard or burned in a fire. But, as we're going to see, this confusion totally masks what is actually expected.
All right, let's look at Section 1, the core principle, reverence versus magic.
Here is the foundational guideline straight from the Code of Canon Law, specifically Canon 1171. It states that sacred objects designated for divine worship by dedication or blessing are to be treated reverently and not used for profane or inappropriate purposes. So the text establishes a really pragmatic middle ground here. If an object is blessed and designated for sacred use, you shouldn't just treat it like ordinary rubbish or toss it casually into the bin. It requires respect. But notice what it doesn't say. It doesn't give you some highly specific, magical disposal ritual. It literally just asks for reverence.
Now, to get why this reverence matters, we gotta understand what these objects actually are. Things like rosaries, medals, and holy water, they're known as sacramentals. As the Catechism defines them, a sacramental is a sacred sign meant to help sanctify our lives and prepare us to receive grace. They are designed to direct our hearts toward God. So they don't confer grace in the exact same way as the sacraments themselves, but they are incredibly useful tools for faith.
And this perfectly illustrates the crucial difference we need to wrap our heads around, the difference between reverence and superstition. We have to respect the sacred sign because it points us toward God, but we absolutely cannot treat the physical item itself like a magical talisman, right? A blessed palm is not a lucky charm. A blessed medal doesn't protect you because the medal itself has some kind of magical force field. And most importantly, if your rosary breaks, there's zero need to panic or fear that you've unleashed a wave of bad luck. The blessing points us toward God, not toward the object, as if it had divine power of its own.
Moving right along to Section 2, busting the burn or bury myth.
Okay, you have almost certainly heard this one before. It's the absolute rule that Catholics must always, without exception, burn or bury blessed objects. Well, spoiler alert, it's a myth. Turning a respectful traditional custom into a universal, rigid law completely ignores the physical reality of what modern religious objects are actually made of. There simply is no single, one-size-fits-all disposal method that applies identically to every single sacramental. Here's the thing. Reverence does not require unsafe behavior. The method of disposal has to depend entirely on the nature and material of the object. Yes, for a natural wooden crucifix or a dried palm branch, burning or burial is a perfectly appropriate, beautiful, traditional method. But what if you have a rosary made of cheap synthetic plastics? Or what if you've got a novelty religious item with a literal battery in it? You absolutely should not burn plastics, chemicals, or batteries just because someone told you everything blessed must be burned. You've got to choose a safe, respectful alternative that doesn't cause environmental harm or, personal danger.
Which brings us to Section 3, Special Cases, the When in Doubt Protocol.
Because, as you might guess, not every sacred object has the exact same status. The Church actually has very particular norms, specifically found in Canon Law 1188 to 1190, concerning items that are precious, highly venerated, or specifically dedicated to divine worship. If you find yourself dealing with a relic, an old sacred image with real historical or artistic value, a massive statue, or items from an altar, those require highly special care before any sort of alteration or disposal can even be considered.
So the golden rule here is that you don't have to guess, and you definitely shouldn't stress yourself out trying to figure it out all on your own. If you are ever unsure about a specific item, the protocol is incredibly simple. Don't guess.
Just take it to your parish priest or ask the appropriate diocesan authority. They are quite literally there to help guide you through the process, especially for those unusual or historically significant items. Just ask before you toss.
Okay, let's wrap this up with Section 4, the 3 simple questions.
Next time you're cleaning out a drawer, just walk through these 3 simple steps. Number 1, is it blessed or sacred? If yes, acknowledge its sacredness and don't treat it like ordinary trash. Number 2, what is it made of? Check the material to figure out a safe, appropriate method of disposal. Again, please do not burn toxic plastics. And number 3, am I confusing reverence with superstition? Take a quick second to make sure you aren't panicking or treating the item like a magic charm. Respect the sacramental, for sure, but keep your faith firmly placed in God.
Ultimately, the biggest takeaway here is that reverence does not equal superstition. The Catholic Church teaches profound respect for sacred things, but it strictly warns against treating them as magical things. We reverence the object because it was set apart as a sign, but the medal is not God, the rosary is not God, the holy water is not God. When we remember that, we can let these worn-out items go respectfully, peacefully, and without an ounce of fear.
So I've got a challenge for you. The next time you find a broken sacramental in your home, try to make this small but super profound shift in your attitude. Instead of looking at it as a burden and groaning, "Ugh, how do I get rid of this?" ask yourself, how can I dispose of this respectfully? That one simple change captures the whole approach. Reverence without superstition, faith without fear, and respect for the sacred, with our hearts always directed toward God. And it kind of makes you wonder, if we've been confusing superstition for reverence with our broken rosaries, what other magical rules might we be holding on to in our faith lives?